I'm starting to suspect that something's going on between my girlfriend and my best friend. We all live together. Maybe I'm imagining things? But honestly, I'm on edge because if my gut is right, our whole living situation is about to blow up. Please tell me I'm just being paranoid. I'm 22 and the four of us live together, two couples all studying at the same university. My girlfriend Alexis, also 22, originally rented the apartment with our mutual friend Brooke, who's also 22. The place is huge and super expensive. It was supposed to be 3 girls living there, but one of them bailed at the last minute. They thought about moving to a cheaper place, but after putting so much effort into making this one feel like home, the idea of leaving just crushed them. So I offered to move in when my lease ended back in May. That way we could split rent and utilities 3 ways. I was already spending most nights there anyway. Alexis and Brooke were totally on board with it. Not long after that, Brooke started dating my best friend Derek. At first, it felt perfect. Both couples living under one roof, hanging out with our partners and best friends all the time, it was kind of awesome. When Derek's parents sold their house in October and moved away, he started staying over more often. Eventually, he just moved in with us temporarily. We didn't pressure him to find a new place right away. Honestly, splitting everything 4 ways made things easier on everyone. Technically, only Alexis and Brooke are on the lease, but the landlord doesn't mind as long as the rent's paid on time, and we've always kept things quiet and respectful. Now, there were 3 moments that made me feel like something weird was going on. And honestly, if it were just 1 or 2 of them, I'd brush it off. But together? They've got me thinking. Alexis is the sweet, shy girl, and Derek is like a brother to me. I've never seen them flirt, but we're all close and spend a lot of time together. Here's the first incident. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Brooke and I have early classes, so we're out of the house by 8 a.m. Derek and Alexis have afternoon classes, so it's not unusual for them to leave later, sometimes even together. Though usually they drive separately. One day, I thought I'd surprise Alexis after her class and take her out for lunch. I waited outside her lecture hall watching students file out, but she never showed up. I texted her, asking where she was, and she replied, "Just got out heading home to study." I called her, thinking maybe I just missed her in the crowd, but she didn't answer even though she had just texted me. That struck me as odd. She's one of those people who always has her phone in her hand. When she finally texted back much later, it felt off, totally unlike her. Later that same day, I bumped into Brooke and she casually mentioned that Derek had stayed home with a fever. She was heading back to bring him some soup. I didn't think much of it at the time. That evening, when I got back home, I noticed Alexa's car was parked in the exact same spot it had been all day. Normally, she uses the guest spot since we only have 3 parking spaces, so her car usually moves around. I asked if she went to class that day, and she hesitated a bit before sheepishly admitting that she skipped because the professor's lectures were awful. She knows I get a little annoyed when she misses class. Her grades took a hit last semester, but lately she'd been doing her best. I kissed her and told her I trusted her judgment. While I was washing the dishes, she said something like, "Yeah, I probably won't do that again. Staying home alone is just way too boring." I chuckled and we each went about our evening. But then when we were lying in bed and I was about to fall asleep, it hit me. Wait a second, she wasn't supposed to be alone. Derek was homesick, right? She was still on her phone, so I snapped out of it and asked, "Hey, wasn't Derek home today?" Brooke said he wasn't feeling well. She looked thrown off. Maybe because I just jolted awake and blurted out something weird. She said something like, "I think he was here a bit this morning, but then he went out." I'm not really sure. At the time, I let it go. But thinking back, that answer felt off. Like she was scrambling to come up with something. Here's the second incident. I went into the kitchen to take out the trash and spotted a condom wrapper, same brand Alexis and I use. It wasn't right out in the open, kind of tucked behind a cereal box, but the distinctive color caught my eye. Thing is, Brooke and Derek always use the free ones from the University Health Center. Ours are the pricier kind from Ryan's. That struck me as odd. Alexis and I always toss those in our bedroom trash, not the kitchen. It's never been a thing. Plus, with all the stress from exams lately, Alexis and I hadn't been intimate in a while. I didn't dig through the trash or anything, but I went back to our room to check if we were missing any. Since we buy in bulk, it was hard to tell for sure. My first thought? Maybe Brooke and Derek ran out and grabbed one of ours without asking. Still, it rubbed me the wrong way. They could have at least said something. Later that night, I casually brought it up to Alexis. And her eyes got huge. When I brought up my theory, her reaction was a little too intense. She's usually calm, but this time she got defensive, started going off about boundaries and how it wasn't okay for me to assume things. I suggested we talk to them about it, but she immediately shut that down and made me promise I wouldn't bring it up unless it happened again. She said she just didn't want to have that awkward conversation, which felt off, honestly. I mean, we're pretty open when it comes to personal stuff, kind of have to be when you're all living together. But maybe Alexis was just embarrassed. She did grow up in a small, conservative town, and she's definitely more reserved than the rest of us. Now, Derek and I are on decent terms with the guys from the apartment next door. They're alumni from our school, not exactly close friends, but we say hi, talk about sports in the hallway, and there's no weirdness if someone asks them to keep the noise down. Last Monday, our break week, I was heading out while no one else was home and ran into one of them. We were chatting about football when he suddenly laughed and said, "Man, one of the couples in your apartment really loves their morning fun. Walls are way too thin, huh?" I laughed along with him at first. Alexis and I used to hook up in the mornings sometimes, especially on weekends when the place was empty. Brooke and Derek often spend weekends at her parents' place, about an hour's drive away. But then later that day, it hit me. Lately, Alexis and I hadn't been doing anything in the mornings. Maybe evenings here and there, or not at all. So, was he talking about weekdays? My stomach dropped. I wanted to go back and ask, but the moment had passed. And honestly, how do you even bring that up? What if I'm just being paranoid? So that's where I'm at. Am I losing it? Seeing signs that aren't there? Or is something actually going on? And if I'm right, what do? I don't want to confront Alexis just yet. First, because I don't want to come off like some jealous lunatic if I'm wrong. And second, if something is happening, I don't want them to start covering their tracks even better. I thought about showing up at the apartment one morning while they're home alone. But I don't know how to time it right. Too early or too late, and they might catch on. So let's pause the video right now, drop a comment, and let me know what you'd do in this situation. Do you think I'm overthinking it? Are my suspicions justified? Personally, I think I'd be paranoid too, but I probably would have asked the other couple about that condom. And now the update. Update 1. Most of you said I should talk to Brooke or try to catch them red-handed. So, I decided to do both. Everyone came back to the apartment Sunday night. I was planning to pull Brooke aside and ask her about what the neighbor said, but I didn't get the chance. She ended up saying something that completely flipped my theory upside down. She told Derek to get to bed early so he wouldn't be tired for work in the morning. That caught me off guard because I knew Derek worked an on-campus job, but it had always been the night shift. Trying to keep it casual, I asked, "Since when do you work mornings?" He said he picked up some extra shifts a month ago and now starts at 9. I usually leave at 7:45, so I guess I could have missed it. But the rest of the evening, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was he lying? Or is he really gone in the mornings and Alexis is seeing someone else, like some of you suggested? Or am I just losing my mind? That night, I went to bed completely drained and confused. The next morning, I went to class like usual, just coasting on autopilot. But the whole time, I kept going back and forth. Should I drive home to check? Or stay and focus on everything I needed to get done? Eventually, I got up after my first class and headed to the car. And honestly, in some ways, I wish I hadn't. When I pulled up to the apartment, Derek's car was gone, but Alexis' car was there. My heart was pounding as I walked up to the door. I had no idea what I was expecting to find. But before I even opened it, I heard a man's voice from inside, talking, laughing. Then a woman's voice answered, soft, giggling. I leaned in, pressing my ear to the door, trying to catch what they were saying. I could only make out a few random words. Then I heard laughter. Then squealing. Alexis was being tickled. Maybe I should have waited. I see that now. But in that moment, I just couldn't. As soon as I started unlocking the door, the place went completely silent. She was hooking up with Mark. I didn't mention Mark earlier, but he's one of the guys from the apartment next door. Not the one who hinted at things. Mark's the only one I never liked, always had the smug, cocky attitude. He'd make offhand comments about both of the girls, stuff that never sat right with me. I brushed it off though. Figured it was just his personality. But when I walked in, there they were. Both of them. Staring at me like deer in headlights. And in that moment, all my hope for some innocent explanation just vanished. I wanted to yell. To demand answers. But, and this is embarrassing, I felt tears welling up. I didn't want them to see that. So I just said, great. Freaking fantastic, and walked out. I heard Alexis calling my name from the hallway behind me, but I didn't stop. For some reason, I thought she might run after me. But by the time I got to the car, no one was there. I drove to a park near the apartment and just sat there. In total shock. My first thought, strangely enough, was, what is my family going to think? Like, what the hell do I even tell them? My family loved Alexis. They always joked about our future wedding, called her part of the family. And now? I kept wondering how I'm supposed to live with this. Finals are in a couple of weeks and I just can't handle moving right now. I'm applying to this insanely competitive grad program and I'm not letting anything get in my way, especially not some cheating liar. I'm writing this from my friend's house. I told him what happened and he talked to his parents. They're letting me stay here for a bit. Still, I need to grab my stuff from the apartment. I'm planning to do that tomorrow during one of Alexis' classes that I know she absolutely can't skip. About an hour after I left, she started blowing up my phone and she hasn't stopped since. At first, she was begging me to come home so she could explain. Before I could even respond, another message came in. She said she was having a panic attack and needed me because I was always the one who helped her through those. And maybe I'm heartless, but all I could think was, good. You earned that one. Then she went quiet for a bit. And then this text came through. I don't understand why you're being so jealous. We were just talking. I waited. Then another. Look, I know how it looked. Honestly, if I were you, I'd think the same thing. But nothing happened between us. He just needed advice about his relationship. Please believe me. No, I don't have to believe anything anymore. Normally, I'd feel a kind of cold satisfaction watching a cheater squirm, but instead, my stupid brain just kept replaying all our happy moments together. Wondering, was she already cheating back then, too? Then later that night, I got a message from an unknown number. It was that same guy from the apartment next door, not the one Alexis was with. The other one. He said he got my number from Derek. I'll paraphrase because the message was long, but basically he apologized. Said he was sorry I had to go through all this. Said he should have said something sooner, but wasn't sure at first. He knew one of his friends was seeing a girl who had a boyfriend, but he didn't put it all together until he heard her name. Turns out that comment he made a while back? It was a warning. Just a subtle one. So yeah, guess that makes him neighbor of the year. I don't think Derek or Brooke know yet. I haven't reached out. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. I realize this is going to blow up everything, our living situation, our friendship, the whole dynamic. Still, maybe I should tell them before Alexis gets a chance to twist the story her way. I can't stop wondering what the decent neighbor said when he asked for my number. I doubt he told them everything, otherwise they would have reached out by now. But then again, if they took her side, maybe I didn't just lose a girlfriend, I lost my whole group of friends. If anyone out there has been through something like this and has advice for how to get through it, please share it. I honestly don't have many people to talk to. Other than the guy I'm staying with now, Alexis, Brooke, and Derek were basically my family. Alexis and I had talked about living together long term. I've never taken a relationship this seriously before. Update 2. After posting twice and getting flooded with comments and DMs, I now have an entire collection of personal messages I go back to whenever things feel overwhelming. And honestly, that's been pretty often lately. People from all walks of life have reached out. Married, single, young, older. I mean, seriously, wow. I never expected the internet to show this kind of support. Quick clarification about the last update, I wasn't totally clear. They weren't literally hooking up when I walked in. They were just sitting on the couch, looking like they'd just been caught red-handed, and they went completely silent. It definitely wasn't some casual, oh hey, look who's home, kind of moment. And after posting that update, it finally hit me how stupid I'd been not to share my side with Derek and Brooke. So I took a screenshot of the text from the good neighbor, Will. By the way, all names here are fake, except for Mark. Screw you, Mark. Within a minute, Derek was blowing up my phone with calls and messages. It was obvious he had no idea what had happened. At the same time, Alexis started spamming me with messages begging me to meet up. I felt sick. So I just sent Derek one message, can't talk. Not ready. Then I put my phone away for the night. The next morning, I woke up to a text from him. He invited me to dinner at my favorite restaurant, his treat, of course. He promised it would just be the two of us. No Brooke. No Alexis. I hadn't had an appetite since this whole thing started, but that invitation meant a lot. And honestly, I did want to see him. So I said yes. Planned to go after class. I got there first. And for a second, I started panicking. What if Alexis showed up too? But she didn't. Derek walked in, came straight over, gave me a hug, and just said, "Dude, what the hell?" And here's where things went wild. A lot of you said Brooke might side with Alexis, or maybe she even knew the whole time. I wasn't sure what to think. Yeah, she and Alexis were close. But I'd been friends with Brooke longer. According to Derek, the second he told her what happened, she lost it. Direct quote incoming. I was gonna lay into Alexis, Derek told me, but Brooke did it for me and then some. Remember how I mentioned Alexis is from a super conservative town? Her parents didn't even know we were living together. She was always stressed about it, afraid if they found out they'd cut her off financially. They were polite to me but made it clear they didn't want our relationship to distract her from school or lead to, pregnancy or whatever. Derek said Brooke gave Alexis an ultimatum, pack up and move out or she'd call her parents and spill everything. Later that night, apparently Alexis was curled up on the couch holding one of my sweaters, sobbing that her life was over. And Brooke? She shouted from her room. Well, maybe you shouldn't have hooked up with Mark then. I won't lie, picturing that made me laugh. Brooke's always been blunt and fiery, but I didn't expect that level of savage. It honestly meant a lot seeing how seriously she took the betrayal. During dinner, all those fears I had about losing my friends just kind of faded. I even managed to eat a few sushi rolls for the first time in days. Afterward, Derek told me he'd let me know once Alexis was officially out of the apartment in case I wanted to come back. I turned him down. First, because even if she's gone, everything in that apartment reminds me of her, including Derek and Brooke. Second, odds are she and Mark hooked up in my room, and yeah, I want no part of that energy. Third, I'm in no shape emotionally to be the third wheel next to a happy couple, no matter how sensitive they are about it. Derek understood. He just told me to keep in touch if I changed my mind. As for Brooke and Alexis, yeah, that friendship's toast. This past week's been quiet, but I've had to constantly dodge Alexis. Our undergrad program is small, only about 60 of us, so we share a lot of classes. I asked a couple of friends to keep an eye out in case she tries to approach me and gave them the TLDR of the drama. I've been showing up to class right before it starts. Far as I know, she only waited for me once. I even got a text from one of those friends. She's posted outside your lecture. Crying level sadness detected. Be careful, bro. So yeah, I skipped that class. Just didn't want to risk it. Didn't know if she'd leave or not. Later that night, she sent me this massive message on Facebook trying to explain everything from the very beginning. Reading it messed me up. I debated opening it at all, but once I started, I couldn't stop. She claimed it all started with him flirting with her in the hallway. Like I said, he did make gross comments to both girls. She says she tried to be polite, but maybe it came off as flirting. Then one day, he just kissed her, right in the middle of a conversation. She said she felt guilty, like she'd somehow given him the wrong impression, and that guilt is what kept her from shutting him down more firmly later on. Supposedly, she thought everything that happened was her fault, and she claimed saying no is hard for her. She said they only slept together 3 times, that she didn't even enjoy it, that he pressured her, that it wasn't assault, but also, I don't think I ever actually said yes. And of course, she added that she was just about to end it when I walked in. Sure you were. She wrote that she'd understand if I needed time and space, but she's willing to do anything to fix this, that she wants to dedicate the rest of her life to making things right. She said stuff like, I'll treat you like a king. You'll never have to cook, clean, or do laundry again. I'll give you full access to my phone, my passwords. I'll install Life 360 so you can always see where I am. I'll cut off Mark. I'll stop talking to any guy friends. Just in case. Anytime you want intimacy, done? Yeah. Sounds super healthy. I didn't reply. I'll be honest. Part of me was tempted to keep her as a friend just to watch the meltdown in real time. She already started posting sad song lyrics, emotional quotes about forgiveness, even lines from our song. But I know myself. If I didn't cut it off completely, I'd just spiral, scrolling through her feed, rereading old messages, torturing myself. So I blocked her. A few hours later, Derek messaged me. She's screaming and sobbing because you blocked her. And now, something actually positive. The family I'm staying with, they're amazing. At first, I felt awkward, taking up space in their home, using their electricity, just being there. So I offered to pay for the first month and cover some of the bills. I don't have a job right now, but my parents give me enough money for rent and food. Still, I wanted to do something, but they refused. My friend's dad said, "First month's on us. If you need to stay longer, we'll talk." And he winked. Turns out they've taken in friends of the family before, his sister, a few others. This isn't new to them. But still, I can't even explain how grateful I am. As for Will, the good neighbor, I called to thank him. I'm not ready to invite him to dinner yet, but I'll get there. He apologized like 100 times. Said he cannot stand Mark, not just because of Alexis, but for a bunch of other reasons he didn't want to get into. Apparently, Mark's been laying low the past few days. Will told me he overheard him say to one of the guys, Yeah, she dumped me. Good. And honestly, screw him. I don't even want to waste another thought on Mark. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I wanted to share with you. I'm still planning to stay friends with Derek and Brooke, but I'll be keeping some distance. It's just, they remind me too much of Alexis right now. I texted Brooke to thank her for kicking Alexis out, and she replied that she would have done it no matter what, even if I hadn't come back. She said she'll let me know once Alexis moves out, so I can grab the rest of my stuff. In the meantime, I'm diving into schoolwork, focusing on grad school applications, and spending time with the friend I'm living with. This week, I posted in our university Facebook group that I'm looking for roommates for next semester, and I've already gotten a few responses. I'm planning to wait until exams are over to tell my parents everything. My mom tends to ask 1,000 questions about every little thing, and honestly, I'm just not ready to have that conversation right now. And once again, to all of you, thank you. I never expected this much attention. I love you guys. Really. Update 3. Honestly, I wasn't planning on writing anything else. But so many of you kept asking for an update that I felt like I owed you. Especially after all the support you gave me. When finals ended, all things considered, I did okay. But the weight of it all hit me hard. Like a ton of bricks. And in some ways, that hit even harder than the betrayal itself. I deleted all our pictures from social media. Threw away anything that reminded me of Alexis. Took our songs off my playlists. We'd been inseparable from day one, so that's over 2 years of memories. It was brutal, but I wanted it done before New Year's. Yeah, I know it's cliché. New year, new life. Whatever. Then, I got this DM from a commenter. They said something like, now that Alexis has lost everything, her friends, her boyfriend, her home, what if she does something to hurt herself? And I know that sounds dramatic, but once I read it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What she did was awful, no doubt, but I started wondering if maybe one final conversation might help both of us. Maybe just to say it's truly over. Give her closure. Give me closure. So, I decided to meet with her before everyone headed out for winter break. I know a lot of you said I should ghost her completely, and maybe I've let you down, but I didn't do it for her. I did it for me. I texted her, if you still want to talk, let's meet somewhere. I told her straight up, there's no future for us after everything that's happened. So please, don't ask me to consider it, okay? She replied almost instantly, asking where and when. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near campus. When I got there, she was already sitting at a table. She stood up like she wanted to hug me. I stepped back. She flinched like a puppy that just got swatted. And yeah, I immediately felt like crap, but I wanted to get this over with. At first, it was the usual awkward small talk. She asked how I'd been, how finals went, all that. I cut her off. Were you unhappy in our relationship? Her eyes went wide. She started rambling, no, over and then just went silent. So I asked if things were good, then why? She launched into that same explanation again, how she struggles to say no, how he pressured her. I stopped her. Told her to stop hiding behind that excuse and take some actual responsibility. Maybe I could understand the first time, maybe even the kiss in the middle of some flirty conversation. But 3 times? No way. She lowered her head, shrugged, and mumbled. You're right. I know. Then the tears came. She said she was sorry, truly sorry. That I'd never understand how much she regrets it. Then, yeah, she asked the question I'd been expecting. Is there any chance we'll get back together? Even though I'd asked her not to bring it up. I just shook my head. I told her if she wanted to keep staying with Derek and Brooke, that was fine by me. But she said no, that she'd already arranged to move in with a friend. After that, the conversation went in circles. She kept trying to justify what she did, saying she didn't want to seem like a cold-hearted bitch. And I kept trying to get her to admit that no, this wasn't about social pressure. This wasn't about fear. This was a choice. I don't know why, but I really needed her to say it. To admit that she consciously, fully destroyed a good thing with real potential. But she wouldn't. Stubborn. She's always been that way. Eventually, I let it go. We ended the conversation more or less peacefully. On the way out, she grabbed my hand like she wanted to say something. But she just shook her head and let go. At first, seeing her made everything worse. But after a while, things became clearer. Even if she hadn't cheated, she still wasn't the person I wanted to build a life with. She never took responsibility for anything. Failed a class? The professor sucked. Can't find an internship? Just bad luck. Never because she didn't try hard enough. I just never noticed it before. Guess I was still stuck in the honeymoon phase. And honestly, sometimes I'm just a damn fool. After that coffee shop meetup, I texted Derek and asked if he wanted to hang out. I ended up going over to the apartment. Even though Brooke was home, she stayed in her room most of the time. We drank some beers, played video games. Honestly, it lifted my mood a lot. We talked a little about everything that had happened. He admitted they hadn't been able to find a third roommate. Just random strangers they didn't feel comfortable living with. And yeah, he asked me again if I'd consider coming back. I could tell he really meant it. And honestly, I felt kinda bad they're stuck paying that rent without me. So I said yes. Told him I'd move back in, but only after Alexis cleared out all her stuff. Most of the furniture was hers, and there's no way I'm sleeping in that bed again. Oh, and Brooke apologized for how hard she went on Alexis that night. Turns out her stepdad cheated on her mom, and it's still a raw wound for her. I told her I wasn't offended in the slightest. In fact, she's welcome to go off like that anytime she feels like it. Also, good news. I invited Will, our awesome neighbor, out for food and drinks at this great spot near campus. A bunch of you wanted to know why he can't stand Mark. Turns out the dude had to be forced to pay rent on time. He'd refuse to chip in for basic stuff like cleaning supplies, light bulbs, or dish soap. Always showing up loud and obnoxious, promising he'd keep it down, then doing the same crap all over again. Basically, he was the textbook nightmare roommate. Will's a great guy, by the way. We ended up talking for hours about the Alexis situation, school, sports. It actually felt normal for the first time in a while. Eventually, I told my parents what had happened. And yeah, my mom cried. Asked me a million questions. Fun times. I still want to go home for a bit, but my older brother proposed to his girlfriend on Christmas Eve, and with everything going on, I couldn't bring myself to feel genuinely happy for him. And that made me feel like a terrible brother. Now everyone in the family is just focused on that, and I'm just not in the right headspace. Life's still kind of a mess. But it's better. Alexis moved all her stuff out. I bought a secondhand bed and dresser from another student. Classes started last week, and yeah, it sounds nerdy, but they're actually amazing. The professors are fantastic. Derek and Brooke have been super supportive. They don't make me feel like the third wheel at all. I saw Mark in the hallway once. He completely ignored me. I did the same. But man, I wanted to hit him. Maybe that feeling will fade with time. I thought about confronting him, but based on what Will told me, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. It would have just pissed me off more.